Okay, I tried to do this a little differently with y'all. I wanted to do it where it didn't get so pixelated. So what I'm doing is I'm applying the primer all over. I'm going to put that all over and let that dry. Now I am using a little tiny bit of concealer. I'm going to take and put it between my fingers to warm it up. And that way it makes it softer. And you're going to put it on like a V underneath your eyes. You don't want to put it right underneath your eyes because that's going to draw attention to it. So now I'm taking my blending bud, which is a little bit damp, and I am going to use this to blend in under my eyes, on the top of my cheekbones, underneath my brows, and pretty much anywhere that I want to emphasize. So I'm going to get this and blend it really, really good. You're not going rough. You're just kind of pushing it in up onto the brow bone again. And then you're going to use what you have left on your blending bud. I'm going to put it more on the top of the cheekbones.
Okay,
I'm
now I
going
have put on a
to
primer
put
first
it down
and let that dry a little
on the
bit. And
bottom, and
now
it
I
looks
put a
like I'm
little bit of
talking now, so
concealer
I'll
on.
shut up.
And we don't want to put it right underneath our eyes. What we're trying to do is we're trying to work with light and dark. And so I've made the V and then started blending this way, working your way up to close underneath your line, your eyes. And I want my eye under my brow bone. I want that to be prominent. So I'm bringing it up here. I'm going to take the extra that I have and I'm going to put it here. And again, all that, because I had quite a bit on there. Still getting it off my hands. So I'm going to put it here on my chin. We're going to put it here because we're going to emphasize working on the light and the dark. This will eventually be shaded in because we want to get the best bang for our buck with the least amount of products. At least I do. Yes, guys, I decided to do it as a videotape because it seemed like every time when I used the live, it cuts out, and so you're kind of sitting there and I'm all pixelated. So this way it gives you the best. Now I'm going to go ahead and dab it onto my lid as well. And I did put the primer on there. I don't have any left on my hands. So I'm going to make sure I use whatever's on my blending bud, which you want to make sure that that's a little damp. I start out with my fingers. I warm it up on my fingers. And I start out using my fingers just because it makes it go on easier. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that set. While I've got this, I want to set it with a powder. Kind of like my version of what they call baking. Be right back. Okay, this is our mineral concealer. It's a powdered form of concealer. The other was the liquid. Depending on what you're correcting, you know, if you're correcting, there's like a difference between dark circles or bags. And I have like bags. Now they're not as bad as they were. They're still there. So I still have to work with it. Now the Uplift Serum, y'all know how I love that, has done a huge, huge change. But then, I mean, it's still there. I mean, they're not It's not a magic wand. It's not going to erase everything and suddenly I'm, 20 years younger. Da 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 da. Doesn't work that way. So anyways, I take my brush. This one is an e.l.f. brush. It's an e.l.f. blush brush, but I like how it's done like this. So I get a good amount on there. Tap a little bit of the extra off. And I'm going to start down here and pat it in. So what I'm doing is I'm patting in this powder into my creases, my bag wrinkles. Because as the day goes on, if you don't push it into the crinkles, they're going to get a little more emphasized. So I am pushing them into that. I'm using it to set the concealer. Make it a little more for this side. And working my way up. Because you're going to have the most on your brush when you first put it on your skin. And if you put it too close to your eyes, then you're going to get powder and stuff in your eyes. Now this is a form, I'm sure there's a technical term of, they call it baking. And it's basically where you're putting on your powder, whether it's a concealer powder or a setting powder, and you're letting it set there. And it's kind of like curing along with the concealer. You don't really want to just leave a concealer just sitting there, because as the day goes on, when you're smiling and talking, it's going to, make a fold. So you're going to be emphasizing your little bag lines. So, it's not going to be completely gone, but we're trying to do the best we can. And I'm just using the little extra that's on my brush. Blending, blending, blending. Everything, you're going to customize it towards what you need. Now, granted, I'm older, so my skin is going to do things differently than what some of these younger girls can do. And I can't do it the same way they do. I have to do things a little bit different. So, right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that set. And the next I'm going to show you doing some eyeshadow. So I'm going to pause this, and if you want to continue watching you can, or just pause it and come back later or what. I'll be right back.